As usual, I have no idea what's going on. Might be streaming, might not be. Hey, there we go. Now I see something. Set up a new rig for my desk camera. See here, it's attached to a microphone pole that goes all the way up into the roof, into the rafters. So hopefully when I'm like sanding on my table and stuff, it's not constantly shaking the camera. But apparently I don't have all the kinks worked out yet. Wait, is that upside down? Oh, it's upside down. "7:30 is a little too early apparently for me, because I usually get home by 7:30, and today I got home right at 7:29. So that does not give me enough prep time. So now I need to get my computer close enough to actually read anything. Hello Nasir, hello BitGreen, hello Scorv. Scorv says if I'm not sanding enough to shake the roof rafters, I'm not sanding hard enough. Alright. We have... Okay. Got both cameras that are somewhat in a place where you can kind of somewhat see things. Cool. Linda is saying still no audio or pic. Linda, you should try refreshing. Hello, DRL2T. Alright. Look at all this trash. Look at all this trash. I have a bunch of trash on the desk. Oh, it looks like a lot of trash. Let's see, so put this stuff aside for a sec. So I was doing some... I don't even know how to explain what this is. Look at this. What is this? What is this even? It's essentially Great Stuff, which is gap filler substance. You can get it at hardware stores. And I had made all these rubber rock molds. And so I was spraying the Great Stuff into the rock molds to get foamy rock surfaces. And I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with these yet. I only needed enough of this can to fill up to make a little mother mold for this mold I was doing, but I had all, like, once you open a can, it's like unsealed. You got to use it all. So I figured I might as well fill up these things and maybe I'll come up with something to do with them. Let me know if you guys have any cool ideas. I think if I cut off all the, potato salad looking backing on them, I could maybe like piece them together into some kind of cool rock wall or something. I don't know yet. Usually things come to me pretty quickly, but not this time. Alright. Oh, weird. I don't know why this got all pushed up funny. But now I have a funny shaped foam rock face. Alright, but this is what I'm excited about right now. Look what I got in the mail. This is an old, they're not called lids, they're called head? A head, like a barrel head maybe? It's like the top of a barrel. I don't know, it has some fancy, well, it has a lingo name for it. And the stupid thing is that these things are just sitting around on farms. I really wanted like an old corroded, like falling apart one. And I know they exist out there, but like I called around all the wineries, there's a bunch of wineries around me. None of them had any they were willing to sell by themselves. And so I ended up ordering this one from Texas. By the time shipping and everything was done, it's $40 for like an old castaway piece of wood. I guess people make like restaurant tables and other kind of decorations out of these. Alright, I'm gonna want gloves. So my understanding is that this is a barrel for aging some kind of liquor, and that process actually burns, does chemical burns on the inside of the lid. Definitely smells like, what's that smell like? Some kind of alcohol. I don't know. I don't even like alcohol. I don't like the taste, I don't like the smell, I don't like the calories, I don't like the price, I don't like the way it makes my friends act. I'm just not a fan. No judgment if you like it though, that's cool. Alright, so we've got two sides. Pretty sure I want to use the blackened side for what I'm doing. And this dumb sticker. Let's see. Can someone type something if I'm still streaming? YouTube keeps insisting that I'm offline. I'm gonna have to come up with some good way to brace this all together. suppose I could just glue it all onto one round backing. Big Green says, okay. Squirt says, still streaming. Good to know. Let me see what I have that can hold this together. Could do something like this foam core. Just cut a basic circle. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I'm sure I have bigger round stuff in here. It's a little bigger. Let's see. I can just do this. It only needs to be more or less a circle. How's everyone doing tonight? Anyone got anything fun going on? I was just trying to set up some like a competition software so that I can give away prizes and stuff. So many rules and regulations you have to follow. And the software doesn't let me do the one thing I want to do, which is have people share the video in order to be entered. But I'd love to be able to just like on any given video say, hey, if you share this video, you'll automatically be entered to win the sculpture I'm working on or whatever, right? Wouldn't that be cool? That's my dream world. Oh, I bet there was a better way to do this. There's all this resin on this side. When all else fails, just punch it. All right. Now, if I throw some glue on the back of that, probably epoxy is the best bet. Hey, Brad. All right. Ready to start composing. Okay, so start with the main element. This is going to be my sculpture. Now, because there is intrinsically a graphic element to this, which is circle, obviously is the largest graphic element, but then it's also divided by these vertical lines. I'm assuming the lines are going to work best being vertical. Let's see what it looks like horizontal. Let's try something I know will be terrible, which is diagonal. Yes, that's definitely terrible. Brett says, I'm going to assume you're making a shield. I'm just making trying to make an interesting composition for this sculpture that I have, just a backing for it. Give it a little more story. I really like what this version of the logo is doing with the kind of webbing, whatever, with these rusty nails and stuff. So I was going to do something along those lines. Not exactly that, but interesting. I forgot about this one. Another circular motif. Let's see. So the other elements I have are beautiful feather. No, I'm not gonna. No beautiful feather. I got these really cool rusty iron bits and bobs. I think I got them on eBay a long time ago. These are kind of a little more modern nails. I have these older ones as well that I think are a little cooler just because they've got a little more interesting shape to them. But I think I have a big, like, super chunky railroad one that I'm not seeing. I'm gonna go find that real quick. Just kidding. Instead of finding it, I'm going to find some other random pieces that aren't as cool. I'll throw them all up there, just so I have an inventory. Maybe it's in here. I have this barbed wire. Ah, this is what I was thinking of. This seems like... I think I picked this up off some old railroad tracks on an abandoned railroad that runs through the mountains near me. People seem to be having buffering issues. So I don't know if I want to do something compositionally with some of these more unique shaped bits. Not a fan of this. Thought it might be interesting if there were nails like sticking out of it and then wire along with the barbed wire that was suspending it a little bit above the surface. That might be cool. This might make a nice, just general border to wrap around the barrel lid. And then I've also got, let's see, I got some copper wire. I'm pretty sure whatever wire I use, I'm just gonna put that rust treatment over. Here I've got some already on its way through. Well, there actually is rust in that wire a little bit, so that should be a good element. Oh, I was looking for this earlier for my gnomes. I'm gonna keep this out. Okay, I think I have. Oh, this might work really well. This is aluminum, I think. And this is about twice as thick as that wire. That's about 3 or 4 times as thick. So that gives me good options to play with. Now, one of the nice things about experimenting with a composition that's using this particular aesthetic of old crappy beat up stuff is that I'm free to experiment. I could pound nails in wherever I want, try them out. If I don't like it, it's not gonna hurt the overall, the final product. Brad says, Josh, you had that Breath of Life frame overlay in the last few videos. I really dig it. Thanks. Speaking of which, I do not have my image centered anymore. There we go. I wonder if it would be neat to actually have like radiating nails all around the outside that the barbed wire weaves through. having nails just kind of laying in there could be neat too. And then maybe I could like wrap wire around and insert the wire into the wood, something like that. Could be fun. I think I still want to try the thing where they're protruding and holding this in suspension though. So I'm gonna try that first. BitGreen says, will that fake barbed wire fit through one of the washers? And then that could go over one of the eyes or the forehead. That's an interesting thought. Looks like it does not want to jam through there. Although I could just cut it and glue it if I really wanted to do that. I think I'm resistant to the idea of incorporating the barbed wire too much into the sculpture because it has so much visual interest in itself that like wrapping it around the art I feel would actually detract from the art itself. But I don't know. We'll get there. We'll get there when we get there. For now, let's see what happens when we pound a nail into this. Not all the edges are supported the same, so I need to get something under there. Alright, that seems... I'm not sure how big a profile I want this to be sticking out. But let's start with that and see how it works. Looks like some kind of a logo. Brad says, would it be feasible to suspend the piece on rusty wire, which would be wrapped around your collection of protruding nails? Yeah, that's exactly what I've been saying. So I'm going to try first, see what happens. think I'm gonna start these nails with a little drill hole. What? I wonder if this wood is solidified through the chemical burning process.
save ice cream.
That seems promising. Probably intertwine the wire around here. I don't feel like the wire detracts from the overall design the way the barbed wire does. I think how thin the wire is and relatively featureless makes it so it doesn't bother me like it's interrupting the overall design. Thinking of doing something where there's, like, you know, various nail things sticking out of the different holes or whatever. Don't know how I feel about that yet. I'm leaning towards no, but I'm not fully convinced I've explored it far enough. I'll come back to that. So, what happens if we've got a layer underneath and then also a layer on top? Is that something? I think I need more nails before I know. But I feel like I've explored the idea of the suspension nails far enough to continue down that path to see where it leads. That feather just really wants to be in this composition. Maybe he should just get a little feather in his hair. That nail is in a terrible spot, and if I would have set him up here, I would have seen that. But I did not. Good thing this aesthetic is old, rustic, and beat up, because I'm beating it up more. Wow, I'm trying. Uh-oh. Am I going to be able to remove this nail? Wow, all the rust buildup on this nail is making this incredibly difficult for my hammer to actually grab it. It's weird. Nope. Alright, let's try plan B. No, wait. Before I try plan B, let's try plan A.5, which is just rotating this around this way. And that guy's in the way. Does he need to be? Maybe not. I don't feel like that's bad. I'll go with it. Nasir is claiming that I'm a sculptor, a painter, and a carpenter. Don't ever show a carpenter my videos. You will cause them to openly weep. You know that Bible verse that says Jesus wept? Like, that's the whole verse. Pretty sure that was about me. A block under hammerhead will help with long nails, Linda says. A block under hammer. You mean like if I put a block between the nail and the hammer? Or do you... I'm not sure what you mean. Help me out with that. I really want this one to do something funky. I don't know, bend or break or something. So I'm just going to keep hitting it till something happens. Good policy for life. That got pretty funky. Might be too funky now. Linda says when pulling it out. So when pulling the nail out, a block under, let's see, she said a block under the hammer. Oh, right, so you've got more leverage. I see what you're saying. I'll keep that in mind if it looks like it's something I need to do again. We've got this sad little broken one. It just has like a little hook on the end. See what happens when I try to put that in. Like it. Answer says it looks like a rat's tail. And doesn't know why, but you want pizza so bad right now. Yeah, pizza is amazing. I wish I could have it more often. But it makes me very, very fat. That's interesting. These little fake barbed wires are like a two-part plastic little mold that clamps together. I know that because I just broke one. If I could use that for anything cool. Alright, I'm going to work with these nails for now. See what they get me. This here says, recycle, my friend, recycle. Well, that's definitely what I'm kind of doing with this art project. This here says, Josh, how many projects do you work on at the same time usually? Honestly, I can't even keep count. Way too many, and I'm really looking forward to getting some of them, especially the big ones like my Cutscene Subversion project video series that I started in 2010. Man, when that's in the can, oh, it's gonna feel so good. And Sarah says, I don't know about you, but for me personally, if I worked on something, I have to finish it. Otherwise, I keep it undone till eternity. I have the full spectrum of things that I started over 20 years ago that I swear I'll get back to at some point. I have some things that started 20 years ago that I think I'm to the point where I'm emotionally ready to just let them go and say, okay, that's never going to happen. Fine. And then I have things that I work on almost every single day. They're just gigantic projects that, you know, any sane person would declare it a loss and move on to something else. But like many artists, I have a hard time killing my darlings. I think all my ideas are brilliant and wonderful and need to be in the world. Sure about how the, let's see, like I've got the wire going around some of the, you know, around some of the edges, and then others have gaps, and I like that. I don't think I want the wire to continue all the way around every one of them, but I also want the distribution to look pleasing. I'm just tangling it. See what happens when I do this. could be cool if I could make sure it's always nice and tight. Yes, here is saying it's left heavy. Let's see, this is my left. Is this also your left? Are you thinking this radiation of wires makes it feel heavy? Or, because there's also a pretty big bunch of them here. And there's also a lot of nails here, and there's this heavy element. Alright, I think since I got most of the elements that I want to have in there blocked in, I should bring this guy into play. Make sure I still want this. Maybe weaving this in and out amongst these nails would be cool. Ah, this must be where this snapped off of while I was hammering. Brad is saying, do you mean the sculpture is not centered? Now that I think I can agree with. That's probably better like that. See if I can get the camera a little more centered. Ah, that's not centered at all. That's better. This here says the space between the edge and the mask is less on the left, so that's why I said it's left heavy. DRL2T says, what about wrap the wire around the horns? Nasir says the horns shall not be touched. So I wrapped the wire around a little bit here. It's kind of hard to see, I guess. And I don't know if it's something I want to do yet. I'm concerned because I want to do the rust effect on all these wires, and I'm worried that doing that over here is gonna like mess up the surface treatment I already have on the sculpture. Get some hot glue set up here. Brad says, looks great. I like that the wire is busier and messier in the bottom left corner. It adds some uniqueness. Yeah, when you're doing kind of this kind of graphic layout, balancing your elements without making it look, because this is supposed to look kind of haphazard and naturally, you know, fallen together. You don't want to give it that like human arrangement like it's a cake top or something. But you also want it to be pleasing to the eye, so it's a tough balance to strike. And I am not a good graphic designer, so I'm sure if a graphic designer were to take all these elements and put them together, they'd find a way cooler way to do it. That's okay, we work with what we got. Drawing that through there just to do something. I think it's cool. Alright. I think I may be at a point where I need to actually start applying the rust coat. If I can find it. So I think because this is already rusting, that means this is iron. Well, some kind of metal that the rust solution will just work on. I don't need to actually apply the pigment that has the iron bits in it. So I'm going to try that real quick. It's very important to put it in a separate container, because if you dip it in here, brush it on there, and then dip it back in, you could get metal in there, and then that'll just set off a cascade chemical reaction and ruin your stuff. Yeah, Sears says the horns kind of look like Jim Carrey's Ace Ventura. Like the way his hair goes up crazy. Huh. I wonder if this this liquid just kind of beads up on there, so I don't know if that's actually gonna work. Oh, actually it's starting to turn. You know what would work even better than this brush? A sponge. Oh, but the barbed wire is going to need a base coat. Big Green says, so the narrative I'm reading from the piece is it's a trophy of the demon hunter outside a junkyard or seedy tavern. Maybe it wards off monsters. I'm unfamiliar with the band though. Yeah, that could totally work. The band is like, they have a bunch of like Christian symbology in there, like it's a metaphor for slaying, you know, the things that cause you to be bad, to be demonic. But you can read all sorts of cool metaphors into that. Stuff's pretty old. Ah! Wouldn't it be crazy if I tripped over my chair and fell face down on this and like impaled myself and died? That would be the ultimate stream. It'd be so metal. Nancy is asking if I play any instruments. I dabble. I like to come up with little riffs on the piano. I learned some guitar a long time ago. I can play most of the, you know, the major chords. But not something I've dedicated a lot of time to. All right. I think it'll be easiest just to put some glue in here. That didn't work. Yeah, that line being just slightly not perfectly horizontal makes it hard to put a perfectly horizontal element right neck on it. Guess that's all right. Yeah, Sear says, music is the fuel of the soul. Do you agree? Because others say love is the fuel. Well, I'd say to the extent that music taps into the love and the passion and all that stuff, well, then you got to start talking about what is soul. What is a soul? What does that even mean? Oh, hey, this is interesting. Getting some hot glue stuck on there gives some interesting textural and visual breakup to the wire. I had not thought of that, but look at this. Let's see how this goes. Just kind of randomly get some grunge on these wires. Seems like a good idea. Leave it at that for now. Now I'm trying to figure out, maybe I want to glue these down before I do the paint now. I think I'll try the painting first. That way it's easier to make sure I'm getting all around it. Although, the thing is, like, it already has a base coat that's fairly close to what I want it to look like. So it's not like if I don't get under every little crack, it's going to be ruined. And Sears says, actually, I like how the wood is less burned at the top. Makes it more eye-friendly. Yeah, I like, anytime there's like interesting variation I originally put it downward because I was thinking that this would be like sitting outside, and so most of the weathering comes from the top and becomes less weathered as it goes down. Um, but I don't think it loses anything by going the other way. Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I think I want to just get this barbed wire nailed down. Nasir says, I think the fake wire would look much better loose than glued. Well, I want it to look loose. I just need to tack it down in certain areas so it's not constantly shifting around when I move the piece. Super obnoxious thing about hot glue is you end up with these stupid like blobs that stick around stuff. I mean, I'll just cover that up with some kind of grime or something, but it's annoying that you have to do that. Either that or you just don't put on enough and then it comes unglued later. Kura. Hi, Kura, whatever. What about contact cement or super glue or something? Yeah, contact cement would probably have most of the same problems. Super glue for this application, for like burnt wood on like rubber that's going to have all this paint on it. I don't know. I just feel like hot glue is the safest bet for what I'm doing right now. Could be wrong. Oh, I forgot. Why am I standing here holding this for a minute when I could just use canned air? That sets up hot glue instantly. Somehow I forgot about that trick. Best not to hit your skin with that, though. This here says, what about the tiny metal wire clips? Tiny metal wire clips. These guys? For what purpose? Alright, so I've been putting off this decision. This here says the tiny metal wire clips to hold the fake wire down. You mean like staples? Well, regardless, it's down where I need it. Okay, I've got to decide, do I want to do another layer of wire that goes over it so it's encased this way? See what happens when I do just a small amount. Then that's fairly easy to undo. could do some more wrapping around here. Kind of get this guy fixed exactly how I want him. I don't think it detracts from anything. I wish I would have wrapped down here. So if I do this, that keeps it nice and firm. Dot of glue back here. I'm going to do a quick test on something. So, a common way to make spider webs for movie sets is that they drop a little drop of hot glue while slowly blowing it with canned air. See if I can pull this off. Getting the right thickness of your string. That is the trick. Can you guys see that? I don't know if that's another element I want to incorporate. There's already an awful lot of stuff going on. I don't know if, let's see what happens. See if I'll hate myself in the morning for doing this. Like, I don't want it to start getting into the territory of haunted house prop, right? That's my concern with adding webbing to it. Like, I like the look of it. Again, I'm going to show this. This is a lot of the inspiration for what I'm trying to do, and there's a lot of that just kind of little webby looking bits, hangy bits, which maybe works for a graphic, but once it's brought into 3D, it starts looking like a Halloween prop. Yeah, it's something I could always add later if I feel like it needs it. But I think there's already so much going on right now. I don't think if it was lacking, I might reconsider that. Okay. Now I think I'm at the point where I'm just gonna throw down, oh, where's my wire? Clippers disappeared to here. Dottie says it's a wicked cool spiderweb trick, isn't it? Yeah, I learned that when I was building some props for an indie movie. I was making like a concrete wall that had to have 3 different destructed states. Like, these people are drilling through a wall, and it was like under a foundation of a building, and one of the other set dressers was doing that. I was like, whoa, that's so cool. I'm gonna see if just blobbing on a bunch of this metallized pigment over the hot glue spots will just make it look like a lump of iron that's rusted down to a puddle. That is my hope. I really wish that this this pigment was black and not gray, because then the parts that don't rust have this like just flat gray paint look instead of, you know, or even if it was a base of orangish or something. Well, no, black is probably best because that's like iron that has rusted. It goes through, well, depending on the chemical composition of your metal, you know, because most iron is always going to be in some kind of alloy. It goes through distinct phases of colorization. And so it'd be nice if the base color of this paint was whatever the first colorization is. But like I said, it's fortunate that this barbed wire is painted close enough to realistic rust that it's not going to stand out as terrible if parts of it are unpainted. I apologize to everyone if my energy is unusually subdued tonight. I got really ill from a work party. We launched our latest expansion pack at work for Guild Wars 2, and they brought in catering, and I think a good quarter of the company got what is suspected to be the norovirus. And so I was, oh man, after the last stream I had on Sunday, like about an hour after that, like I ate, sat down, watched a documentary about brains, and about an hour later I was just like, oh my god, I want to die. And then I was in bed for 16 hours after that. Just like nauseous, cramping, not vomiting or diarrhea. It was just like everything else you get from food poisoning. Like fevers, chills, shaking violently, like shivering, my teeth chattering. I was so nauseous. I wanted to throw up so bad. But by the time I was thinking, oh man, should I just make myself puke? Is that going to help? It had already been like 6 hours since I ate last, and I didn't know it was from the party on Friday. I assumed it's what I had just eaten. And either way, I thought it was too late for vomiting to help at all. So this delightful story is all just to let you guys know that's why I'm kind of wiped tonight. I've been slowly getting over it, but slowly is the operational word there. And operational is not the word I was looking for either, but it's gonna have to do because my brain's kind of mush. Just kind of randomly hitting parts of the wire with this pigment just to break it up some. so it's not the same amount of shininess all the way around. And then hopefully those spots will pick up some orange and brown once I hit it with the patina solution. Alright. I think I'm pretty happy with this composition. I'm going to let this, whatever this paint is called. What is this called? It's Sophisticated Finishes. This is called Iron Metallic Surfacer. I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll come back and do the patina later. Right now, I think I need to go sit down and try not to die. Alright, so, yes, I'll call it a stream for tonight. We will see you next week, maybe on the weekend, who knows? Thanks everyone for joining me, and I have no idea what we'll be doing next time. Hopefully I'll have progressed on some of the stuff that I've been working on previously to the point where it'll be interesting to look at it again as I do, you know, the next step. Rati, hi Rati, says, so different catering for the next expansion after party. Yeah, probably, although if it's norovirus, it's unlikely it came in the food. I think that's what I heard. It's more likely like someone didn't wash their hands after pooping and then like double dipped in the guac or something. That's more likely what happened than the food being bad. Brad said had to duck away for a few minutes. A little more progress I see. Yep. Reddy says thanks for doing this even though you don't feel well. Looks great. And Brad says thanks Jawish. You're welcome, Brad. And I'll see you guys next time on the next Live with Josh Foreman show.